And I think it's fair to say that some of the modifications that we've done to this van, we put the max speed and rods coilovers on, we stripped the stance coilovers off because we wanted that upgrade. We've put a lot of time and a lot of effort into upgrading this VW Caddy, and mechanically everything else is done, other than we have had a major engine failure. And I think the most important thing to say is that we have come so far in this project, and what a waste it would be to let this go. So what better way than to show you guys to recap the whole video series. Now I am going to take a couple of snippets from the full video series and pull them together so you guys can see exactly what I mean. Right, so after 10 minutes we've managed to get that rad pack off, batteries out, she'll drain her off. She's heavy with that crash bar attached. Whoa. It's a big crack here. So all we're doing is stripping the front of the van out. So I took the headlights out, started taking the clutch cables off, and all I'm trying to do is get this engine out the 1.6. Now if you're the same, if your engine's blew up, just start working away, disconnecting everything, but don't worry about it if you disconnect all the wiring loom on the engine, on this engine, because we don't care about this one, we care about the new donor. You've got to make sure that on the new donor you do not take any wiring off the engine. You've just got to take the main engine wiring loom. Now that's important because you don't want to be unplugging anything off the engine on your new donor. All you need to do is take the wiring loom and plug it straight back into the ECU. If you start messing with wires, you're going to have problems like I have in the series, so please do not do that. So as you can see, just stripping out this 1.6 engine, working my way all the way around, taking everything off, coolant, washer bottle, fuel hose, you name it, just moving around. So I mentioned drive shafts. All I'm doing here is disconnecting everything off the hub just to get the bottom arm out of there so I can pull the drive shaft out. I took the track rod end out, I took the lower arm off, and then all I'm doing is just trying to get that drive shaft out. Now I have doubled up on an extension bar, as you can see, just to loosen off them drive shaft nuts. And once you've got both drive shafts out on both sides, that means that your engine's free, or your gearbox is free from the chassis of the van, which is absolutely perfect in the position you need to be. Now do remember that you've got to take your drive shafts from your new donor car. If you buy a Leon, they'll slip straight into the Caddy hubs. And as you can see there, I took the drop link out, took the track rod end out, took the bottom arm off, and you can see now that the drive shaft is free from the engine. So next up, we've got to get the engine out. Now drive shafts are disconnected, as you can see in the image, and we need to get the engine out. So what I started doing is working on the bolts on the top, so it's gearbox mount and then the engine mount either side, just disconnecting them. Now these are dog bone mount underneath that engine, and the exhaust will probably get stuck as well, so you need to get that clamp off the back of the exhaust. Couple of coolant hoses at the back, as you can see, I'm just pulling out as I take the engine out, but that's it. It's very straightforward. Now because this is a 1.6 engine and it was knackered, I wanted to learn as much as I could, so we did actually unclip that full engine wiring loom off the 1.6. In hindsight, we did not need to do that, so you guys don't bother doing that unless you're putting in a 1.6 in for a 1.6 and you haven't got the wiring loom. There's no need. So all we're doing is just stripping that back, and yeah, that is the engine out and a mission completed for the first part of the project. And that's what we're left with. The old drive shafts just sat there that they're going to get replaced, the exhaust is disconnected, and you'll see on the right hand side the wiring loom is still the wiring loom of the Caddy. That remains as is, just leave that in, and all you need to do now is get your donor car, donor engine and donor engine wiring loom. Let's get at it. So what I'm starting to do is battery tray out, just get that out of the way so I can see the right hand side engine mount. Then what I'm doing is, I don't know why, I'm starting to strip off the wiring on the top of the engine. You do not need to do that, so please do not do that. In this video, that's where I make a mistake. I don't need to do that. So next what I'm doing is just getting the front of the car off. So that's Seat Leon, FR bumper and stuff. I'm just working my way, trying to get the bumper off because, as I say, I like the engine to come out of the front of the car. You know, I haven't got a ramp. Some people say they lift the cars up. Fair play to you if that's what you do. For me, it's just easier to take all the ramp pack off, all the lights off, strip it all down and just get the full front off. Headlights come out nice and easy. I'm not going to go into too much commentary. We're going to skip through some of these parts, go through the full series if you want to see everything. But as you can see, it's like butter. Next thing, just taking that slam panel rad pack off because it's in the way of the new engine. Crash bar comes off. And then them horrible hoses that everybody knows about that are bloody awful to get off, they are next. And here you can see, there's about 10 minutes worth of time here having a right chew getting that rad pack off. But the rad pack is out the way and now I can see the front of the engine. Now this is exactly the same as the Caddy. Disconnect the left hand side, disconnect the right hand side and then work on the engine mount once you've got your crane in. You'll see that just sort of moving back and forward, nice and easy. And get a second pair of hands because you know, you do need to have two pair of hands on this. And there we are. Engine is out. Obviously I had a problem with my turbo, so we started disconnecting that. Because this is my donor car, I want to take the engine mount out the side there. So I'm taking that right hand side engine mount out. Like I said, I left the left hand side engine mount in the Caddy. And all you need to do is swap that one over because that is a 6-speed gearbox one. And that's the 5-speed, sorry, from the Caddy. So again, in the Caddy now, putting the 6-speed back in, just getting everything loosely back together on the Caddy before I put it back on the drive and move the Leon out of the way. But I've got the engine out the Leon, I've got the engine out the Caddy, and now I'm ready to put the engine back into the Caddy. Just tighten these up by hand, don't over tighten them, just tighten them by hand. And there we are. So next thing I've got to get out is the pipe for the clutch. Now, if you can see on the Caddy, it's totally different. So I had to take the full length of that pipe from the master slave cylinder and I had to put the new one inside there. So make sure you take that from your Leon as well. And I forgot to mention that earlier on, so it's really good we've gone back over the video footage. Next thing I'm taking out is drive shafts from my donor car. These were so rusty, so hard to get out of here. And I'll be honest with you, I am going to swap them on the Caddy eventually. But for now, it's in, they're working, there's nothing wrong with them. It's just that, you know what it's like if people haven't maintained things, it's a pain in the arse to get off. So both drive shafts are coming out of the Leon, there we go, and they're going straight into the Caddy, and now that's ready for an engine. So next thing, what I'm doing is just learning about the gear cable bits, but as I mentioned, the gear cables just slide off the top there, which as I told you earlier on. So all you need to do is take them little end bits and just slide them onto your existing cable. Make sure you take the brackets from your donor car as well, and that's it. I disconnected all the cables for no reason. Don't make the same mistake. So next up, the turbo arrived for my engine. As I told you, I bought this engine for 600 quid and it had a knackered turbo, so I bought a new one for 70 quid. And now you can see there's all the oil on the old one and there's the new one. So we're just going to get that new turbo fitted. I'm just taking the sensor off the old one and putting that onto the new one, just because I want to make sure that there's no additional error codes that come up on the dashboard, because the Leon was pretty clean. Now I'm just going to say, if you've enjoyed this video so far, please do me a massive favour, hit the like button and hit the subscribe button. It costs you absolutely nothing to do that, and as you can see, I'm really in my element by getting this new turbo installed. I've never done one before, so smash the like and smash the subscribe button. So now we've hit the moment of truth. Here we go, single-handedly, engine on the engine crane from the Seat Leon, and we're going to get that into the Caddy. So next up, just lining the ECU up, getting that all ready and hunky-dory, taking it from the Seat Leon and getting that ready for the Caddy. So first ever engine put in, first ever engine swap. I am over the moon with this, guys, and it just goes in like butter, as you can see. Just getting the engine all lined up, getting the mount about right, and then you can start to put your bolts in. Now do not just blast them with your impact gun, just slowly put them in and take it in step by step. Don't over tighten them, just get them to a certain point and then hand tighten them. I've watched a lot of guys online, I've watched some brilliant guys, DTE TV. Massive shout out to Nathan, because again his videos have inspired me to do this, and all I can say is, he says hand tighten them. He said you're meant to actually replace these bolts, but he never has, so just hand tighten them. Don't go crazy. If you go crazy, you might snap one. Don't do it. And that's it. Engine is in. What a relief. Now, next thing I'm looking for is that dog bone mount underneath. I've got to get that bolt in there to stop the engine moving back and forward. But as you can see, once I get there you go. The engine is dropped off the crane, and that's the engine into your Caddy. Wow, what an achievement. First ever engine swap, and it felt like I'd just done 10 rounds with Mike Tyson. Honestly, it was brilliant. So, next up, let's get cracking. So now I've gone back over to the donor car, and what I'm doing here is de-pinning the cables that I need to go in the Caddy. Now, as I mentioned before, O2 sensor, MAF sensor, secondary fuel pump wiring. I'm just taking all of them from the Leon and I'm putting them all in one by one. Now you can go and do this, go and check out the step-by-step in the video for all of this in depth. This is just a quick overview. The video will give you a lot more information. But as I said, you take it out of your pin from your plug, from your donor, and put it in the exact same place in your Caddy plug. Can't get any straightforward than that. And the secondary fuel pump wiring, this is what we're just doing here. And again, we are having to use that fuse, as I mentioned, under the dash to get that all wired. She cranks. No way, no way. We've got a crank. Come on. She's running. Come on, lad. Straight away. Now she's loud at the minute because I haven't got the exhaust attached, and she's got a boatload of lights on there, but the only ones really we're bothered about is the airbag light, which I'll sort out once the seats are I'll get them corded out. Engine management light, because the coil light's on, again I need to look at that. Now it is very common that you're going to get loads of lights, but as you can see, the van starts, the van runs, and there's no oil light on, which is the most important thing. Now what I did do is, obviously when I put the new engine in, I filled it back up with oil. Obviously you've got to take the oil out when you take out your old engine, but when I put the new one in, I filled the oil and then I just cranked it a couple of times first just to get the oil pressure around, because I put a new turbo on. You probably don't need to do that. You probably just need to fill your engine up with oil and she should be fine. So loads of lights on the dashboard, but the most important thing for this piece is that she starts, she runs, and yeah, we're just going to test now to see if the wheels move, which is a massive stage and a massive achievement for anyone who's done their first engine swap. Now hopefully this will help you guys, as I say, because this is the most important part of me, is trying to share this video, trying to share it with you guys so you can see that actually you're very capable of doing it, and if you just have a good mindset and a good attitude, 99% of it will get you the way there, or 95%, and that 5% is other people just sort of guiding you and putting you in the right direction. Now I'm over the moon at this point in time. The wheels are moving. I know I'm doing something right. I've had loads of problems with the clutch, guys. So when you go and watch the full series, you just see the issues with the clutch that I had. So go and check that out as well, because it's more of an interactive video series. But like I say, this was the game changer for me. The van actually being able to move back and forward on its own ground again, rather than being sat there for probably 2 or 3 weeks. And yeah, this was just a monumental moment in this project series, because I was really happy with it. The brakes didn't work as well. Go and check out the full series for the brakes. But they're just minor problems and minor bits that I missed during the engine swap. And that's just like putting things back in, putting tubes back on, etc. So hopefully this has helped you guys out to have a bit of confidence to go and do your engine swap from a 1.6 CR to a 2 litre CR. And CR's common rail for those who don't know. And yeah, hopefully it's helped you guys out. So yeah, really appreciate everyone watching. Do me a massive favour though, smash that like button and smash that subscribe button. Now I've got one fault left on this VW Caddy, so I thought the best thing I can do at least to help you guys out, rather than messaging me on Instagram, which is great, don't get me wrong, and YouTube, but I think I owe you a bit of a video. Now this is a 1.6 TDI 2011, it's a facelift model as well, so we're going to focus on that range, but it's very similar for most other So for the older style ones, it's just more they're a PD style rather than a CR. So this has got a 1.6 in, and this is a 1.6 of a later model. So it's not the PD version, and the engine swap I went for was a 2 litre from a 2010 Seat Leon. Now that 2 litre 2010 Seat Leon was a CR 170, and it was the non-PD format. So we started off by stripping the VW Caddy engine out because, as you can see, I've blown the bottom of the engine up. It wasn't me. I have no idea of the history of that previous engine, and I was just waiting for it to blow up. I was waiting for it to go, and once it went, that was the prime time to put a 2 litre into this Caddy. Once I got the engine out of the Caddy, I then had to buy a donor car. Now, I was just going to buy an engine on its own on a pallet, which, to be honest, would have probably been the easiest option, but I found by buying a donor car that was definitely the best angle to go down. Now the reason for that was, if I bought a car, so the Seat Leon 2010, you'll have seen it had a problem with the turbo. I bought an engine at risk. Basically the turbo was starting to blow loads of smoke. It hadn't fully gone, it just was nearly going. So I bought the Seat Leon 2010, 2 litre engine inside it, and it had a turbo fault, but it ran great. So I thought, well, the engine's good, it just needs a new turbo. So I looked online, the turbos were 70 quid to buy a second-hand brand new turbo that was parts guaranteed. So I bought the car gave me everything that I needed to do the swap. So my advice is, if you're new to this, buy a donor car. You get the engine, you get the ECU, you get the drive shafts, you get the wiring, everything comes with it, and that's the most important thing, because they're basically all you need to get started on your engine swap. So let me talk you through the key components of the engine swap. You need the engine, of course. So you need to find out, and ideally, if you're going PD, try and get an older Seat Leon, a 2009, a 2008 CR 170 engine that'll go inside there. And if not, and you're going for the later model like mine, again, the Seat Leons are really good, and you can always buy them quite cheap if they've got a slight issue with them. So you need the engine, number one. As well as the engine, the best thing to do, and that's why I say a donor car is good, is to have the wiring looms with the engine. And as well as that, you also want the ECU, the drive shafts that are inside the car. You want to take them, and the Leon's a perfect one because all of them parts fit straight in. So we've got the engine, we've got the ECU, we've got the drive shafts, we've got the wiring loom. And for the Caddy conversion from a Seat Leon to a Caddy, you're going to need the engine mount. Now that's specifically the gearbox mount from the Seat Leon to go into your Caddy, because it won't fit, because it's a 6-speed and your Caddy might be a 5-speed. If you've already got the 6-speed, your mount might be okay. But if you're taking a 6-speed gearbox, take the drive shafts from the Leon as well. You've got to do that. You also need to take across, now you also need to take the gear cables, because them are important. You've got a 6-speed, they're a 5-speed. So all you need to do is pull the black spring in, and I'll show you this all in the video. Pull the black spring in off the end of the gear, and the gear cable selector end comes off. That's all you need to take. I stripped out the full gear mechanism on my Caddy, and I didn't need to. You just need the ends, and you need the mount that goes with them, and we'll show you that in a minute. Now your engine, when you take your engine out of your donor car to put into your Caddy, you've got to make sure that you keep the wiring loom on the engine. Don't disconnect any plugs. You don't need to. I started disconnecting plugs, messing around on the engine. You don't need to. That full wiring loom goes all the way back up to your ECU. So trace it back, work it back, and keep that one engine loom, wiring loom, sat on top of your engine. Do not touch any of them plugs. Now that means you only then need to, from the existing wiring loom that's sat inside your donor car, your Leon, so the one that goes to all the insides, it goes to your MAF sensor, goes to your O2 sensor, it goes to, and then you've got to put some wiring in for your secondary fuel pump. Now the wiring is the hardest thing to do, because you've got to repin them from your ECU location on your donor car into your Caddy location. Now tracing wires back, depinning them is very straightforward. I'll try and show you guys where these are at. But if you've got a donor car, the MAF sensor, 5 wires from the MAF sensor of your donor car will go back to your donor ECU, the pins that stay inside the donor. Okay, you don't need to bring that loom. All you need is the engine loom to come across, which means when you put your engine in, you put your wiring loom from your engine, you connect that up, then all you need to do is take from your donor the MAF sensor, the O2 sensor, and the secondary fuel pump wiring that needs to be done. And that's it. It's fairly straightforward. What you've got to know as well is your engine ECU and your clocks on your caddy will not work together. So you need to find somebody in the area who can either do A, an IMO delete, which is not the preferred option because not having an immobiliser potentially voids your insurance, or B, which is the preferred option, which I done, was get a guy who can program your clocks to your ECU and to your key, and that way you've kept the same clocks, the same key mapped to the new ECU from your donor car, and that's the best thing to do. So I'm gonna throw things around in the video. I'm gonna chop and change between me taking it out, disconnecting it, putting the engine back in, and I think you guys are going to enjoy this because this is a different video from me, more of a bit of an explanation tutorial. Let's have a look at the engine bay on the 2 litre. So literally, you've got your old engine, you've got your drive shafts, so what you need to do is get that side up on some axle stands, get the wheel off and get the drive shaft disconnected from the gearbox. Same on this side, get it jacked up, get it on a stand, get the drive shaft connected from the gearbox, which means you've then only got a lump in the middle that needs to come out. Now this is the 2 litre, but remember on your 1.6 it'd be very, very similar. So this wiring loom is what I'm saying, this whole wiring loom here that sits on the engine that goes to all the plugs on the engine, don't disconnect it. Because what you'll see is the full loom under here goes back up and into behind the back of here. So the full wiring loom comes under here and goes to here. Now there's 2 wiring looms, one that feeds the likes of the MAF sensor, the O2 sensor, but they all feed the internal side of the car as well. And then you've just got the engine wiring loom. So engine to come out, all you need to do is disconnect your fuel lines on the side over here, disconnect, that can just fold up your coolant tank once you've drained the coolant out of the pipes down the bottom, fold them 2 over. There will be a clamp on the back of the exhaust down the back that you will need to disconnect because the engine won't pull this way. I found the easiest way was to take the front end off the caddy, take the lights out and just free up as much space as you can as possible. And then from the 2 litre, as I said, there's an engine mount underneath this battery box here. There's also an engine mount here, which you can see. I took both engine mounts from the Leon because I thought it's a 2 litre, it's sitting there on its own. I'll take both engine mounts to go with it. So we spoke about drive shafts and stuff, taking the drive shafts out of your donor car and putting them into your caddy. You need the donor drive shafts. These are the gear, the cable selectors, shall we call them. You need the cable selector. If you can see the black little bit on the end here, all you do literally is pull that spring together and it'll slide off the end of the cable. You do not need to take the full cable. You do need to take that bracket that sits on top of the gearbox, which is just down there. You may or may not be able to see that at the back. And you need to take this mount. So if you're taking your gearbox, your 6-speed gearbox, take the bracket and take the 2 gear cable selector ends as well. So you've got your drive shafts, you've got your gear cable selectors for your 6-speed, you've got your engine mount this side and your engine mount on this side. So cable wise, MAF sensor, this sits on top of your airbox just there, totally different. I think it's got an extra pin, different than your caddy. You've got your O2 sensor, which is one down the back here. which hopefully you guys can see that as well. Your O2 sensor there, so that's another one that needs to be depinned from your loom of your donor vehicle. We've got the secondary fuel pump. Now I still need to tidy these up this side, so just ignore it for now. But what you've got is your secondary fuel pump connection just down here, which you should or shouldn't be able to see. You'll need to wire them in. Now if you just have a look at this, one of the wires is an earth, and one of them needs to go to a new fuse or relay that sits under your dash that you've took from your donor car as well for the secondary fuel pump. Again, I'm going to tidy and wrap all of them up. So the wiring for the secondary fuel pump is probably the last thing on the agenda to look at. Now, I showed you there, one of the brown wires is an earth wire and the other wire goes to a relay. Now in your donor car, you will have a relay that sits under the dash that is for your secondary fuel pump. Now in the Leon, I'll put an image in, but this is what it looks like in the Seat Leon on the 2010 version of a Seat Leon FR. So that is the secondary fuel pump that you need to take and wire into to get your secondary fuel pump working to get your engine firing. Now that bit of it is really complicated, so if you do need some help on that, I suggest you inbox me on Instagram or at John Builds or on the comments below. My advice is just to inbox me on Instagram at John Builds, and hopefully I can help you guys out. But the hardest thing about all of this engine swap is the wiring. So we've gone through putting your engine in, so you've got your engine mount either side that you need to take from your donor car. So we're talking engine mount need to come from your donor car into your new chassis. Now I took the gearbox only engine mount and I left the Caddy on the left hand side facing the van, the non-gearbox side. I left that one as a Caddy mount and it's absolutely fine. Obviously, once you get your engine in, you then want to take the wiring loom that you left on top of your engine that you brought from your donor car, and you want to plug that straight into your ECU from the old engine wiring loom slot. Plug that in, job's a good one. After that, you then need to go to your donor car and take off the additional wiring. So that's for the MAF sensor, O2 sensor, and then you've got to wire in that very tricky secondary fuel pump. Then what you've got to do, as I said, is take the drive shafts from your donor car and make sure you put them into your Caddy. You might as well upgrade it, because if you're going to go from a 5-speed to a 6-speed, take the Leon drive shafts with you. The rad pack from the Leon, so the 2-litre rad pack, you can also take that along to your 1.6 Caddy. I've upgraded mine from the 1.6 rad pack to the 2-litre rad pack on the front, and it fits absolutely the same. We spoke about the engine and the clocks and the key. You will not be able to get that to turn over. It may crank, but I don't think it'll fire. It may not even crank, it may try once and then stop. But what you need to know is that you need to have your ECU from your new engine. So if you take an engine, take the ECU as well with it. Okay, so you've got your Leon engine, Leon ECU, you've got your Caddy clock still in there, and your Caddy key. You've got to get your clocks synced up to your engine, or you can do the IMO delete option. Air conditioning. So unfortunately my Caddy doesn't have air conditioning. However, on the new 2-litre engine from the Leon had AC. So I kept the pipes. I have in VCDS, you can map out the air conditioning. So when the guy does your clocks and does your key, get him to map out the AC if you do not have AC in your Caddy. And I don't. It's a luxury and I'm definitely going to fit it. But for now, I haven't got it. So I'm not too concerned. And I'm trying to think of anything else that I've probably missed off. I don't think I have. I think it is very, very, very straightforward. Apart from the wiring's been the hardest part to do. But I took the airbox from the Seat Leon. So the airbox came as well, because the Caddy airbox doesn't fit the Leon airbox. So take your airbox from your engine donor. Now some people say they just prefer to get an engine, and I think, I'll be honest with you, buy a donor car, because I spent 600 quid on the donor car, £70 on a turbo, and I had everything I needed to do for 670 quid, other than getting the guy to match the keys to the clock, which cost me, I think it was 160 quid. It wasn't a lot of money. So all in all, and then I sold parts off the Leon car to regain some cash back, and I probably made 500 quid back. So all in all, it's probably cost me 300 quid to do an engine swap, which I think is not too bad, considering you can spend probably thousands on this type of stuff. Now, hopefully that has been somewhat insightful for you, and I'm going to try and pull it together in the best way that I can. And it may repeat myself in sometimes, I may repeat myself, but it's very easy to do once you understand the logic of what is needed, other than the coding and other than the wiring. But I've deep-inned before. I used to work on a lot of cabling, a lot of data comms. The deep-inning was a breeze, and I got yourself a deep-inning tool off eBay for a couple of quid. So hopefully that has somewhat helped you guys when you're doing this.